Hey, ladies, I hope you've enjoyed this first week of engaging with the book of Psalms. I think Dr. Russell is doing a great job at setting the stage for us. Um, it was important to look at Psalms 1 and 2 to start because beginnings matter. They matter in literature, it matters how a book starts. And it matters that the psalmist, that the collector or the editor of this group of psalms has put Psalm 1 and Psalm 2 at the beginning. This is not a random arrangement, as Dr. Russell talked about. And right now, many of us are in seasons of beginning. Those of us who order our lives according to the academic year, we've either begun, or in my case, I'm about to begin a new school year. So new rhythms, new challenges, new opportunities, new people coming our way. And so at this season of beginnings, it's a good time to take a look at the beginning of the book of Psalms. And I want to just focus in on the first three verses, this portrait that the psalmist paints of the blessed life, the happy life, the fruitful life, the good life, to use a much overused term. And I want to zero in on just two words out of those three verses. So listen again to Psalm 1, verses 1 through 3. This is the NRSV. Happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or take the path that sinners tread, or sit in the seat of the scoffers. But their delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law they meditate day and night. They are like trees planted by streams of water, which yield their fruit in its season, and their leaves do not wither. In all that they do, they prosper. And I want us to zero in on verse 2 and two key words in this psalm, in this picture of the good life, in terms of God's perspective on life. And the first word is delight. The psalmist says, the happy ones delight in the law of the Lord. Now, think about that word for a minute. Delight. In Spanish, one of the ways of rendering this is they find deliciousness in the law of the Lord. Not obligation, not drudgery, not something heavy or difficult, but delight. Delight is the feeling for those of us who are grandparents that we have when we hold that grandchild in our arms for the first time, or when they come and want to spend time with us. That's delight. And the psalmist says that's how our relationship to the word of the Lord is, if we are living the good life. And the interesting thing is, outside of Psalm 1, most of the time when this word gets used in the Old Testament, it's from God's perspective, the things that God takes delight in. God is delighted by the obedience, by the loyalty of his people. And so we see here in this word the mutuality of this relationship. God delights in us, and we delight in him and his word and in being in his presence. And so I encourage you this week to ask yourself, how much delight is there in your coming to Scripture? And if it's lacking in delight, to think a little bit about why that might be the case. And also to remember that God delights in you. And when you come to his word and when you live out the things that his word portrays for us, he is delighted with that and delighted with you. And then the second word in verse 2 is the verb meditate. On his law, they meditate day and night. I think we've talked about this word before. Meditate, the word that's translated meditate, is this action of like the cow chewing its cud, or the lion with the bone and the carcass of the prey, chewing and chewing and chewing on that bone, getting the last drop of marrow out of it, getting the last drop of flavor out of it. It's a word that talks about savoring, about tasting, about enjoying. And so meditation and delight go hand in hand. And on his law, they meditate day and night. There's this turning over, this coming to the word early in the day and taking it with us throughout the day and turning over in our minds and repeating it and rereading it and savoring it throughout the day. And then thanking the Lord at the end of the day for how his word has accompanied us and given light to us throughout the day. So I just want to encourage you as we move through this psalm study to cultivate delight and to cultivate this practice of meditation, of savoring and turning over and enjoying to the last drop. Not Folgers, but the word of the Lord. It's good to the last drop. So delight in the law of the Lord and meditate on the law of the Lord. And God bless you this week in your engagement with the Psalms.